I ask you some questions? How many are there?
One guy inside the front door. Second guy on the top floor.
It's done.
Working with Bucking was like just one of the most amazingly creative experiences I've ever had, you know. I mean, he doesn't like to analyse his process, and I think he's really instinctive, you know. I think he's got a huge bullshit detector, and, you know, I've considered him a fellow Glaswegian in that respect. He doesn't suffer fools gladly, but I mean, he's a hugely funny guy as well, and he was also a writer on it in some ways, like the way he was like bringing that physicality into the character. You know, every take was so different. Something would be really funny, and then something would be terrifying, and then we were able to run and gun quite a lot because no one recognised him. You know, like people thought he was a bum or a construction worker. So it's unusual to be able to film that way in New York anymore. That it felt like harking back to one of those movies. I mean, I saw French Connection afterwards, and I was like, wow, how did they do that car chase? And there was no permits or anything like that, but there was this excitement where we could break off a little small crew and just be with him, and no one knew, you know.
Why am I here?
Albert Vanto. His teenage daughter's been missing all weekend.
Her name is Nina. Do you have kids, Joe?
No.
I've never done action before. I don't even particularly like violence in movies, but I started seeing that as a secondary script. I mean, first of all, it's very mechanical. That's the way he operates, an everyday thing. Then it gets really personal, and then you almost see a post-violence. You know, like his rage is so that things happen very quickly. We don't need to see what happened, and I think the audiences are sophisticated enough to fill in, you know, the gaps, and it's almost more scary what you don't see. So I kind of saw that as its own kind of narrative, but that was totally based in the psychology of where the character was at that point in the film.
I want you to hurt them.
But no, this is special because obviously it's my hometown. I've just moved back up here. I've been hearing a lot about this festival, and you know, it also gone back to a cinema like the GFT. When I grew up going to see movies in the GFT, and you know, I think I saw Fear Eats the Soul by Fassbinder, Blue Velvet I saw in Glasgow, like half the cinema walked out thinking, what the hell is this? And I was like, oh my God, I think this is just a revolution, you know. So there's a sort of like I guess a kind of nostalgia, the days where I was, you know, I wasn't a filmmaker, you know, I didn't know that much about films, but my mum and dad, I was brought up in noir, I was brought up in some amazing studio movies as well, and I'm actually quite nervous about it, more for what my family will probably think of it than anything else, you know.